Welcome back to Inspirations. My name is Melissa, and we're going to be doing a Dollar Tree pumpkin patch. So these are the different kinds of pumpkins that you can use, or if you have any other kinds, you can use that as well. And then these are also going to be the paints and different kinds of scrapbooks that are available. And then, of course, you can always customize it the way you would like. And then we're going to be starting out with just kind of picking out the ones that I want to use. And then, so I have these two that I'm for sure going to use. There's going to be a few others that you'll see that I was thinking about using, but I ended up not using those. And then we're going to go ahead and get these prepared for staining and painting as well. So you can definitely use any kinds of pumpkins that you do have. These are the ones, all the ones that I'm showing you right now are from the Dollar Tree. And I was just picking apart these pumpkins away from the footballs so I can use those. And I'm gonna try to figure out exactly which pumpkins I'm gonna be using. So I'm doing a mock-up first just to see what the layout's gonna be and how I would like it. And then that pumpkin that's already painted, I actually had it from last year, and I believe it was one of those pumpkins from the dollar spot from Target. Like I said, so here I'm going to start laying out how I want the pumpkins to be and how I want the setup to be and exactly how many pumpkins I want as well. And then you're going to see I'm going to be configuring a few things around and see how I want it displayed just to my liking. But again, you can always customize this the way that you would like. So with this pumpkin, we're going to be staining the larger portion of the pumpkin. So not the parts that are actually sticking out or 3D. So I'm going to be staining that with I believe it's a dark walnut stain. And this little can has actually lasted me through a lot of little projects and even some bigger ones too. So definitely consider getting this, especially if you're doing lots of projects. A little does go a long way. Definitely would recommend. Anyway, so I'm going to be staining those areas, and then the parts that actually stick out, the little 3D ones, I'm going to be using some scrapbook paper. That is the buffalo check, and then I'm going to be using some Mod Podge to stick them on there, and then I'm going to be tracing them out. Once a Mod Podge dries up, I'll be cutting them out to make those shapes, and you'll see later on once it comes through. Hopefully you guys can get the idea of it. I don't know if it's the easiest way to do that. If there is an easier way, definitely comment down below so that way next time if I do this I won't have such a hard time, but it's okay. I love crafting, so I don't mind spending some time on it. So but yeah, here you go, and hope you guys enjoyed this part. So I'm going to be using this larger pumpkin that is also from the Dollar Tree. I know you guys didn't see it in the original little layout that I was looking at or trying to get done. But as I was thinking about it, I did want to have a much larger pumpkin that was bigger than the first one I was staining. So this one I'm actually going to go ahead and paint it all white first, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some details just to make it a little bit more realistic and really fun looking. I'm going to be using some browns and some greens and even little accents of gold as well. I've been really on a gold kick this year with little accents of that, so I definitely want to get that included in my home decor. I do have a blue, or like a navy, really dark navy accent wall in my living room upstairs, so the gold will definitely complement that color. So for me, that's the colorways that I'm going to be kind of going around. And then of course you can always get this customized the way you would like with any colors, but once we get into the painting part, you guys will see how I'll be doing it, and hopefully you guys can get an idea of that. So here is where we're going to start adding some of the details onto the pumpkin. So I took like this gray brownish color that's with the Waverly, and I started making some streaks around the side and around where the pumpkin would start to sort of bulge out into those shapes. And so I started adding some details of the shadowing first, and then later on I did go in with the green and some of the gold accents, and then of course to color up the stem as well. Now I like my art pieces, or what I like to paint is, this is kind of like my style where I make it very streaky, very artsy, a little abstract. And I also did like a dry brushing technique, so that way I wasn't putting my brush into the wet water, so that way it wasn't so paint looking. I wanted to look more like streaks on there. But yeah, once I start adding the greens on there, you're gonna kind of be able to see you know, the different highlights and the lowlights, you know, with the golds and then the darker colors, and then just to give it more of that realistic, kind of very textured look. So this pumpkin was actually part of a sign that had the little bottom where it stood up and has that saying in the front of it. With this one, I did decide I was going to use this really fun scrapbook. Very fall, and I like the polka dots on there and the distressing, kind of like a little farmhousey, a little modern. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut around it, add a really good layer of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that paper onto the pumpkin. Once that dries, I will go ahead and trim up the edges, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got another little pumpkin that we're going to be adding a scrap paper to. This pumpkin was part of that little hanging sign that had little footballs on it. And so I wanted to go ahead and add little pumpkins on it because I thought it was just so cute. And I thought it would complement the little polka dot one that we had just used on the other one. Because this is a little bit more of a busier print with larger prints, I wanted to go on a smaller pumpkin. That way it would not be so distracting for the piece. And I thought it was just so cute on that little pumpkin just to have miniature pumpkins on there because I just thought it was ironic. But yes, I'm going to do the same thing, just add some Mod Podge and then slap it right on. Alright, so we are back to this pumpkin. I let the stain dry out for a few hours. That way it didn't transfer onto my fingers and then potentially smudge onto the paper. So again, we're going to be using the Mod Podge and kind of just getting it on there. I'm going to put the whole piece of paper on there, let it dry, and then I'm going to be using my X-Acto knife once all that's dry just to kind of trace out the shapes. Like I said, if there is an easier way to do this part, please comment down below. I would love to know what your ways of doing this part would be, or if there's anything easier. I do like to find different ways of doing things, and if there's an easier way, that would be even better. So we're going to start taking the scraps off the sides of these pumpkins. So I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife just to kind of cut around that. And then once I get those done, I'm going to be sanding down the edges of the pumpkins just to give it more of a cleaner look. And then as far as the one with the buffalo check, like I've said, I'm just going to be tracing around those shapes carefully with the X-Acto knife. And then that way I can get those shapes out. And then again, I'll be sanding those as well. I would like to also apologize for not getting this in camera. I kind of got into it and I was trying not to cut myself with the X-Acto knife, so I was keeping it close to my face so I can see where I was going. So some of it's not in camera, so I do apologize for that. guys, so quick little pause. I was finishing this beautiful project and I thought my camera was on record. So the last clip was before all this got set up, and unfortunately my camera had a glitch where it would not even turn off while I was turning it off, and I don't know what happened. So I had to take the battery out, let it rest, and then here we are. So totally missed me putting this up, so I'm so sorry, guys. Honestly, all you have to do is just hot glue it into place. That's all it took, and just press it down real good. That's not the hardest part, but I'm sorry, I feel really bad and I look awful. It's like I'm in my garage, so sorry about that. Hopefully you guys can get the idea of it. So just took this big old piece of wood here, and I first layered the bigger pieces in place exactly where I wanted, and then I put this middle two pieces, just kind of where I wanted it to be, and then the last thing was that. And then the very last step obviously was just the bows. But I mean, I hope you guys can see and understand what the concept was on that, and I'm so sorry about that. It looked like it was recording, but it was not, so I totally missed it. Anyway, also, please, give prayers to my little hot glue gun. It is covered in last year's, tinsel from Christmas crafts. At one point, I had a googly eye on there, and I left it as is because I thought it was hilarious. But, I ordered a new one, so next week we'll get a new one for this. But anyway, yeah, so let's go ahead and set this up, and I'll show you pretty much the final results. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little DIY that I made. I know it's a little bit of a longer video for a DIY, but there were quite a few little steps on there, and I just want to make sure I was being thorough. And again, I'm so sorry about not being able to show how to put it together, but I hope you have the idea of how to do that. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment down below, give a big thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!